What's up, guys? Tugi here, back again with some more NHL 16 and my Boston Bruins GM Mode Season 7. We're continuing onward. We're currently 24 games into the new season, third place in the Atlantic Division with this new look team. Now, to start off this episode, we are making a couple of line changes. Marcus Olsson, as you get a look at the goaltender stats, has upped Fucale. Doesn't exactly have the wins to back it up, but we're going to give him a chance. And this is really going to be a big proving period for both of these goalies. Again, Fucale was the easiest goalie to acquire after losing Malcolm Subban. We'll see if he could turn it around and be good enough to be our starter in the meantime. But of course, we've had plenty of luck with our backup goalies, particularly those who we have acquired from Columbus, like Marcus Olsson. Defensively, we're really only making one change. That's dropping Sean Day down to the third line. Ville Pukka is struggling tremendously so far this season, and we really need him to turn it around as well. Our top pairing is not doing too bad, but if Pukka can't turn this around, Day and McCown are both top four defensemen. Maybe it would be worth getting rid of Ville Pukka to allow these guys to potentially grow, and that's the big thing we're looking out for right now with our lineups, is whether or not morale will continue to be affected by playing people out of their proper role. Offensively, we're off to a decent start, particularly with the top line, Jake DeBrusk and Austin Czarnik doing what they normally do, and Artemi Panarin, after another terrible playoff performance, is having a good bounce-back season thus far, right up there in terms of goal scorers in the league. Goodrow and Pasternak doing what they normally do. Pasternak, though, obviously not a big-time goal scorer, more of a setup man. Scott Lawton, a little bit disappointing. We're going to give him time to see if he can turn it around. Bergeron on the third line with the young guys, Suglobov and Yamamoto. They both really need to turn it around in terms of their plus-minus. And the fourth line, again, we do have an injury right now to Zachary Senshin, but Dmitry Valentenko, our free agent pickup, is doing well so far. Marcus Kruger turning into just a perfect fit down there on the fourth line. And Joshua Hosang, of course, called up due to that injury. So as we get ready to start the sim, I did want to say this. I've continued to look for a top tier forward, 90 overall. Obviously, we've only had that elite forward once. That was Alex Ovechkin, and he didn't exactly do too much for us in the playoffs. It is absolutely impossible to get a player of that magnitude away from these GMs. But starting the sim off here, 3 games to start the month of December. First up, against the Buffalo Sabres, it's a nice 5-3 win for Olsson. Colorado, geez, it's not good. 5-0 loss, but we rebound well with a 6-4 win over the New Jersey Devils. So not a bad start, 2-1, but obviously Fucale will get the next game in net here against Pittsburgh. So let's do this, simming the Pittsburgh game, and Fucale gets a 2-1 win. We will continue to roll with him, sim ahead here just a little bit, and see what happens. And we have a bit of good news before the first game. Zachary Senshin is back in the lineup. First game against Ottawa, though, was a 3-0 loss, a 9-4 loss to the Buffalo Sabres. We do get an overtime win over the Senators, a little bit of redemption, but a 9-4 loss to the Buffalo Sabres. Jesus Christ. That's unacceptable regardless of, we've had a 73 overall goalie in our lineup before, and we haven't given up 9 goals. That is just absolutely absurd. And in the meantime, I think we're going to put Olsson back in the net as we get a look at Fucale's stats. Just not good. Not good at all. Let's put Olsson back in and see what he can do for us. So let's do this. The next couple of games. First up, it's Washington. It's another big 5-0 loss. Game against Columbus, we get a 2-1 shootout victory. Not too bad from Olsson, but again, inconsistencies have really plagued our team throughout this entire series. But let's sim these next 5 games and see what happens. And talking about the inconsistencies, a 2-3 record over those 5 games. We get a 4-3 win against Chicago, 3-1 over Florida, but we lose the remainder. So after spending about a half an hour searching for trades involving Lawton, Pukka, and Yamamoto, our 3 biggest underperformers, including willingly, and you know me, guys, at this point, if you've been watching the series, you know me, I hate giving up first round picks. I'm even offering first round picks to try and get a first line forward, and these other fucking computer GMs will just not budge. So we're gonna resort to the trade block. Lawton, Poke, Yamamoto are up there. We're offering anybody, everyone is on the block right now. I'm willing to get rid of anybody. We're looking for a first line forward, we're looking for a top 2 defenseman, and we're looking for a goalie 88 overall or above. We'll let the teams come to us, although there's no chance in hell that ever happens. In the meantime as well, we're going to make a few lineup changes. Bergeron replacing Lawton on the second line, and then the fourth line and the third line are essentially being switched out. Valentenko and Senshin have outperformed Suglobov and Yamamoto. Again, I'm a little bit concerned about Suglobov being played out of his role and how it will affect his morale, but we have to make changes. And a quick change defensively as well. Roland McCown's been playing very well this season. We're going to bump him up to the second pairing. Billy Polka down on the third pairing. Dangerous to have him and Sean Day together again, but I know that Billy Polka is the reason for his struggles. He is just having a horrendous season. Moving forward, Zachary Fucale in net as we go into January. Of course, going up to the trade deadline, we'll sim these next 2 games, San Jose and Calgary. We do get a trade offer for Blake Wheeler that we end up declining. We actually get a ton of trade offers. Blake Wheeler, though 35 years old, no reason to pick him up. We do explore it, but he wouldn't solve any of our issues. It was tempting, but his plus minus ended up being horrendous. We end up getting a 4-1 victory over the San Jose Sharks. We immediately get another offer. My God, I wanted to take this, but again, no reason to take on Blake Wheeler at this point. As much as taking a struggling player on for another struggling player, it makes all the sense in the world, but again, with Blake Wheeler being 35 years old, not exactly a trade I'm willing to take. As far as the Calgary game goes, we get a nice 5-2 victory as well, and again, as you can see, the Blackhawks continually bugging us for a Wheeler trade. Marcus Olsson takes the net back for a game against the Arizona Coyotes. We get a nice 4-2 victory, and although it might be controversial, we stick with Olsson. In the meantime, as we sim the next 4 games, let's take a look and see how that goes down. And in between the sim, we actually get a trade offer from the St. Louis Blues, a first round pick and a second round pick for this season. For our second round pick, originally Colorado's Bob Schlemko, and a defenseman Udes. Schlemko was drafted in the 4th round this year. Udes was drafted in the 2nd round. So you can essentially view this trade as Udes for their 2nd round pick, they cancel out, and then a 4th round pick and a 2nd round pick for their 1st round pick. We take this deal. That 1st round pick may help us acquire somebody, hopefully, in the future. And at the end of the 4-game stretch, it's a win against the Flyers, a win against the Maple Leafs, and then back-to-back losses against Western Conference teams. Again, the inconsistencies continue. Zachary Fucale regains the net for this game against the Maple Leafs. Again, we beat them 4-1 the other night. And in this game, it's a huge 8-1 victory over a divisional rival. Of course, now just 6 days away from the All-Star break, we sim the game against the Dallas Stars, and it goes our way as well. Boy, that took forever to load, but it's a 3-2 win against Dallas, and we end on a good note as we hit the All-Star break in 2nd place in the Atlantic Division. The Atlantic Division has both wild card spots as well, so it's a very tough division. It's still a close race, but we're in a pretty good spot. And guys, that will actually do it for this episode. We're going to keep it just a little bit shorter than normal. I was going to go beyond the trade deadline, but with so many questions about our roster, I want your input before going forward. To recap, we need to figure out our goalie situation. Do we stick with Fucale and Olsson for now? Perhaps they can turn it around. Maybe it's our defense's fault. Or do we blame them and solely them for their poor stats and try to move on? Ville Polka. Do we move him regardless of the return? Do we package him with another one of our 84 overall defensemen, Zaboral, Day, or McCown, and try to get an elite, top pairing defenseman to play with Lozon? Scott Lawton. Do we simply move on from him? Keanu Yamamoto. Do we trade him and give his spot to someone else in Providence? or to someone we can acquire. We have many questions about this roster, but let me know what direction you think we should go moving forward. It's Season 7. This series will continue for the time being, although Season 10 is the finale unless we win a cup before then. So keep that in mind. We're going for another cup. I want to thank you all so much for watching. As always, drop a like down below if you've enjoyed, subscribe for more, spread the word, and I will see you all next time as we finish up Season 7.